Peace and blessings, folks, on this Wednesday evening. The last evening of this cycle where we've been celebrating the Spring Equinox by doing Agnihotra live and talking about the principles and practices that are supported by it and that enhance it. So we've talked about the fivefold path, including yajna, dana, tapa, karma, and swadhyaya. Yajna being the holy fires, dana being sharing of assets in the spirit of humility, tapa being self-discipline, karma, right thought, right speech, and right action, and swadhyaya is self-study. And we've also talked about the seven rules of thumb that are a major part of what we call Homa Therapy. Homa Therapy is the therapeutic, intrapersonal, interpersonal use of these principles for healing, for growth, for actualization of potential. And as we've said before, for those of you who may be new, Agnihotra is from the Vedas. It's an Ayurvedic practice from ancient times, reportedly was done all over the planet. And it helps to purify the atmosphere. It reduces pollution. And that's so critical in these times when we're so saturated with pollution from industrialization. And that pollution affects us mentally, emotionally, physically, as well as spiritually. So this process, at this point, it has been given to anyone who cares to do it, from any religion, any spiritual practice, whatever. It's a scientific process that helps to clean the atmosphere and helps you to grow deeper into your own mind, to have more access to what's deep inside of you. Because as we've said before, the mind is holistic. It's not only the brain, it's the heart, it's the gut, the intuition. And most of us only use consciously about 5% of our minds. But with this process and meditation and mindfulness and affirmations and other things to focus and help us to express ourselves, we can enlarge our conscious mind and get clearer about what's in our unconscious mind, so we can decide if we want to keep it there or if we want to add something else. To me, so much of this is about free will and intentionality. Each one of us has the ability to make decisions about how we live. Not what happens to us, but how we respond to it all the time. And the more we get grounded, the more we get connected to our inner selves, to the universe, the more capable we are of taking care of ourselves in a progressive and healthy way. Because the truth of the matter is there's so many things coming at all of us all the time. They're not necessarily healthy, and they tax us. They tax us. They create stress, tension, and make our lives difficult in a lot of ways. Many folks say we're living in times of darkness. Darkness. I read a quote by Rumi. If you don't know who Rumi is, check him out, R-U-M-I. That in the house of the world, if the house of the world is dark, love will find a way to create windows. Love will find a way to create windows. And in that communication, it goes on to say, love will prevail. Yes, things look real crazy. There's a lot of stress, a lot of changes going on in the world. But in many ways, we're just at the end of a cycle. Things are becoming intense as things are shifting. But light will prevail because we're part of a lot larger system than just what we can feel, see, hear, and touch on this planet. That's just the material world. That's just one little corner. And we all visit it for a few years, but none of us stay here. None of us stay here. This is a temporal experience. When we can connect with that which is infinite, that which is eternal, when we can be aligned with our divine, cosmic, eternal natures, we do better. We do better. Because even the physicists say matter is neither created nor destroyed, and all this stuff is matter. It just changes form. It just changes, it just continues to exist. And many of us know that, from our experience with loved ones and ancestors who've gone on, and still we feel and sometimes see and their energy around. So when we align with that which is more infinite, eternal, we do better even in this temporal world, even in this temporal world. And the word is, the light will prevail, even though it looks dark. I'll tell you a secret. No matter how big the catastrophe, how large the trauma, how big the disappointment, there's always two sides to every experience. And with that downside, there's always an upside too. There's, not to minimize the pain, the suffering, the disappointment that we can go through. But there's always another side to things when we can be still enough to look at it and see the half full part of the glass as opposed to just the half empty part of it. So, today's Agnihotra at this location goes at 7:21 and 27 seconds. 7:21 and 27 seconds. And as we've said before, it changes from place to place. But you can always get an accurate reading if you go to agnihotra.org, and you can even put your information and get it right there if you want to try it, or you can download the free app and just do it anywhere. As I said, this is the last night of this series, but we're opening a YouTube channel where we're going to be presenting on a regular basis. Don't know how regular yet. We'll let you know, but you can certainly join and follow us there. And that's going by the title of Mind Training and Homa Therapy. Homa Therapy, H-O-M-A. Homa is being the sacred fires. Although Agnihotra is the main one, it's not the only one. There are other fires that we do, homas. Matter of fact, generally whenever we do meetings or gatherings, that we start with other homas that can be done at other times. If you're interested, just get to me and we'll either give you some information or point you to where you can get the information. And if you're local, we have weekly what we call satsangs. I think satsang interprets as company of the holy. We get together at least once a week on Sundays and do fires and mantras and discuss spiritual principles. Like anything else, wherever you feed is what's going to grow. And so when we feed the positive, when we study the spiritual principles, when we make the effort to go in and assess how we're doing things, we get better at all of that. And it becomes more of an asset for us. We're really very powerful when we claim our power. When we claim our power. But if we're not doing that consciously, what we're doing so often is giving our power to people advertising this or selling this or showing this or promoting this cause or another. And that's okay if you believe that those folks are, how should I say it, enhancing your life. But in so many cases, we're just doing it just to get a little shot of dopamine. It helps me right now. But in the long term, it costs me, you know? If you watch, let's say, murder mysteries all day, that's going to put you in a suspicious mindset. If you watch sexually provocative stuff all day, that's going to feed those energies, you know? If you watch sports all the time, it's going to make you more competitive. And that might be all right for playing ball, but in relationships, that doesn't help a whole lot. All I'm saying is we do better when we deliberate and intentional about what goes in, because what goes in is what comes out. So we have about seven minutes. We've talked about the 7 rules of thumb, no fault finding, single pointedness, discrimination with decision making, non-attachment, and the other 3. Think something good, say something good, do something good. Today I want to end up by talking about this issue of love. Sri Vasant used to say, be full of love all the time. I mean, love is always the answer. But like anything else, we're going to break that down a little bit and look at how it might manifest itself and how you might enhance your ability to be the love, to express the love, to promote love as the healing, curing, supporting force of our universe. We got about 6 minutes. How about I read you a little poem that I think applies to that? There is power in the open heart. It is the power to experience, to feel, to be. When we take down the walls of protection and heal the blockages from the past, the light within begins to illuminate our way. The open heart is free. The open heart is courageous. The open heart sees potential and possibilities everywhere and in everyone. The open heart harbors faith and trust. The open heart sees the divine within and among us. We'll talk a little bit about how that open heart manifests itself. But it's really the gift of humanity that we have hearts, and that we have the option to open our hearts, to be free, to be generous, to be connecting, to manifest our divinity in all that we do. 4 minutes. This is the cow dung that we're burning. We put cow's ghee on it. And we're going to offer a little whole grain rice. And we're going to say a Sanskrit mantra. So it's what you burn, the timing, and the mantra. Okay, so let's get started here. We got about 3.5 minutes. And we're going to just sit in silence for a couple minutes while the fire is burning. Do your prayers, mantras, meditate, affirmation, whatever works for you. About 2 minutes. One minute. Twenty-five seconds. Ten seconds. Agnaye Swaha. Agnaye Dam Namama. Parajapataye Swaha. Parajapataye Idam Namama. So I'd like to speak just for a minute on two aspects of love that I think are important. Empathy and compassion. Empathy and compassion. Empathy is the process of attempting to understand someone. It's the process of attempting to understand someone from their perspective. And at some level, it requires going into their world to get things, the understanding from their perspective. To do that, though, requires that we be grounded. It requires some courage and some faith, because we have to be willing to step out of our experience to experience things, understand, see things from the other's perspective, so that we can get an understanding of where they're coming from, and hopefully use that information to communicate, to understand needs, to assist, and just to connect with that other person. We all have the need to be understood. We tend to hook up with people when somebody gets us, when somebody seems to understand and appreciate where we're coming from and even our downsides. Mm-hmm. So empathy is actually going into that person's world and seeing what's important to them, how it manifests itself, the emotions that go with it, the belief system, the thoughts. It's just checking things out from their perspective. All of us have a perspective. You know, it's easy to grow up thinking that the way I see things is the way it is. Well, not so much. We all have a perspective that can change over time with our experience, with our access to deeper ways of knowing, and with our interaction with other folks and ourselves. Yeah. Because when I'm talking about empathy, I'm not just talking about understanding other people, although that is where it manifests a lot. But it's also about understanding oneself and understanding one's own perspective. Again, this is not the ultimate truth, but this is the way I see things because of my experience, because of my beliefs, because of my vision of reality. Mm-hmm. So empathy. But our empathy requires some stability, some groundedness. I've even heard recently of some quasi-politicians saying, you know, that they don't value empathy. And certainly, excuse my language, but a lot of them act like they don't value empathy, at least not in the real sense, just on the surface. Mm-hmm. But empathy, and we combine it with compassion, is really what makes us human. It's really what gives us a sense of connectedness, of well-being. Mm-hmm. So there's empathy, and then there's compassion. Compassion is a feeling of concern you have for someone and their situation, their suffering. compassion always kind of implies that you need to do something. Many people see empathy as a prerequisite to compassion. But together, when we look at people with empathy and compassion, the pull is to, how can I help? How can I be of service? And when we talk about knowing ourselves, when we talk about self-study, so much of that comes down to, who am I really? What are my gifts? And what's my mission in life? What is the purpose for which I was incarnated, and given experiences, the talents, the strengths, even the challenges that I've had, what was that about? It was about preparing me for a mission of service. All of us have missions, whether it's dormant or we're unaware of it or not, a mission that has to do with service. Now, it may not mean that you're downtown in front of the march. There's a whole lot of different ways it can happen, some subtle and some not so subtle. But everyone has a mission in life that is consistent with service. And when we are empathetic and raise our ability to understand other people, to see things from another perspective, to let go of our way of seeing things enough to go into somebody else's world. When we start doing that, then we get some idea of what their needs are. And with compassion, there's this momentum to, what can I do to stop the suffering? What can I do to aid that person? How can I help? Again, it's about love. It's about love. It's about giving love in ways that assist. Sometimes it's dramatic and sometimes it's subtle. Another way that I see it manifesting itself, this compassion and empathy, is in parenting. You know about parenting, right? We've all had parents, and many of us are parents. And even in our interaction, whether we've biologically had children or not, we may have a parenting role in our community or with our friends or whatever. One of the main challenges that we have in our society, as I see it, is that so many young people grow up not feeling cared about, not feeling acknowledged, validated, supported, because there wasn't enough nurturance in their lives. Nurturance, another manifestation of love. When you say, good job, I love you, oh, I see you really tried, a hug, a kiss, just those things help us to feel valued, help us to feel worthy, you know? And the trick is, everybody has the need to be good at something. If I don't feel like I'm being good in a way that's validating, that socially acceptable, then I'm going to try to be good in a way that may not be socially acceptable. So if I haven't been validated, affirmed, and supported in the things that are socially acceptable, then I'm going to try some other things to be. So if I'm not validated, for instance, if I'm in school and if I'm not being nurtured and validated for what I know, then I may start to do some other things. Maybe I'll become the class clown or class bully or, athlete or whatever. But I'm going to try to do something to feel good about myself, whether it's socially acceptable or not. When there is nurturance, we tend to move more in ways that are socially acceptable. And I'll tell you a secret. All of us inside of every age we've ever been. So there may be a part of us that still needs nurturance, that needs validation, that needs affirmation, that needs attention from time to time. So when we're talking about giving love, compassion, and empathy, yeah, we're talking about other people, but we're talking about what's going on inside of us too, because we may have a piece of us that we're disappointed in, or a piece that, a part of us that is very aggressive or not attentive in certain ways. When we can accept that that's happened and nurture those parts, give it love, give it empathy, compassion, we help ourselves to heal and to grow. We help us, and when we do that in our families and in our communities, we help everybody else to heal and grow. Now, yeah, I know there are people who, how should I say, whose personalities aren't very inviting. And sometimes their ideas and their behaviors are downright unhealthy. But I think it's helpful when we can separate the person from the behavior. Because if the person is doing something, thinking something, participating in something unhealthy, it's not just hurting me, it's hurting them. So when we can still be compassionate and empathetic, we are helping them to heal. And you may be 35 and the other person may be 78, at least on the surface, but they might be a 78-year-old going on 13. So if you can be empathetic, be compassionate, give them some love, you may help them to heal past their traumas, past their hurt, their feeling of rejection, and thinking that they have to be aggressive or nasty to have some power in the world. So empathy, compassion helps us to be more human. It helps us to feel worthy. It helps us to feel good enough about ourselves to work on doing the right thing, manifesting values, higher values, coming out of our comfort zone, our place where we have that imaginary safety, and really try to expand our consciousness, to open our hearts, open our minds, and really interact in a genuine way with other folks. To really be present in interactions, not keep our mask on and stay what we think is artificially safe. And by doing so, not getting our needs met or helping anybody else. So, empathy and compassion are two manifestations of love. We all need love all the time, at all ages. And when we are giving love, it is gratifying, and it helps us to heal and grow. Not just the person we're giving love to. It creates a energy, a vibration that takes all of us to a higher space. You know, I watch people now with animals, and excuse me, but I'm not really heavy into animals, but I respect when people are, because it's just when they're giving love and receiving love from their animals, to me, that's a way of opening up one's heart. So hopefully we can get to the place where it's not just with animals, but it's with people and with themselves. But any practice in that helps, whether you're giving love to a plant, you know, or a dog, or anything that's alive that you're giving assistance to, giving love to, is helping you become more human and to manifest your highest potential. So, in the words of Shiva Song, our task is to be full of love all the time. So what do I need to do in this situation? Be full of love. It may manifest itself in different ways, and being full of love doesn't mean that you accept unhealthy behavior from folks. You can love a person and be loving and still have a clear boundary in terms of behavior. Still be clear about what you don't accept, and even about accountability when that's appropriate. Mm-hmm. Because if you're loving yourself, that means you're learning to say no when you think it's appropriate. At each stage of development, the manifestation of love may shift some. And one of the things I see so often as we mature, as in middle age and as elders, it's about learning to set boundaries and limits. What do you allow into your space? What do you allow into your presence, into your body? Because whatever you allow in is going to have some reaction. So the more judicial we can be, the better we can assess, and clearer we can have boundaries and limits, the better off we are. So, anyhow, I think that's about it for today and for this series. Like I said, we're going to be on YouTube. We're going to have a channel on there, and we're going to be doing presentations on a regular basis. And we're going to be doing more interactive conversations also. So feel free to check us out. Please take some of this and be your own scientist. Do some experiments. See how it works for you. As you take on the love, as you give empathy, compassion, even to people that you don't agree with, even with people who have behaviors that you don't accept. But again, you are helping them to grow, and you're helping yourself to grow in that. So peace and blessings, and keep working on you. We'll keep working on our planet, and as Sri says, the light will prevail. No question about that. The only question is, are we going to prevail with it, or do we take the scenic route around? I'm voting for moving with the light. Peace and blessings.